The scent of lies always did make my stomach turn, even before all of this. They were her favorite. The white ones, the kind that looked like trumpets heralding some grand arrival. Today, though, they smelled like a funeral for something that was once beautiful, something I cherished. I heard the lock click, the familiar jangle of keys, and then the slight push as the door swung open. I didn't look up from the worn pages of my book. Not yet. I was waiting, listening. Her heels clicked on the hardwood floor, a sound that used to make my heart do a little flutter. Today, it felt like a hammer blow, each tap echoing the fractured rhythm of my own heart. "Honey, I'm home." Her voice was bright, too bright, and I could hear the fake smile clinging to it. The sound was grating, like nails on a chalkboard. I kept my eyes glued to the page, pretending to be engrossed in the lives of fictional characters, while my own life was turning into a tragic farce. "Oh, look," she said, her voice now closer. "I got you some lilies. I know how much you love them." The blatant lie hung in the air, a thick, suffocating cloud. That's when I finally looked up. I forced a smile, a small, tight thing that probably looked more like a grimace. "They're beautiful, Sarah." My voice was calm. Too calm, I knew, but years of practice hiding my emotions had made me an expert. I watched her as she crossed the living room, placing the lilies in the vase on the coffee table. She was dressed in her usual attire, a casual summer dress that always seemed a little too vibrant for the beige walls of our living room. Her blonde hair, which I used to love running my fingers through, was perfectly styled as always, not a single strand out of place. It was the same Sarah, but not the same Sarah I fell in love with. Then she stopped. Her eyes widened, her perfectly painted lips parted slightly, and the color drained from her face, leaving her looking as white as the lily she brought. Where is it?" Her voice was barely a whisper, the bright facade finally crumbling. I knew exactly what she was talking about. The space on the wall above the fireplace where the enormous framed wedding picture had hung for the last 8 years was now empty. I had removed it just this morning. The hooks were gone, the wall wiped clean. Not even a trace remained. "What's missing, Sarah?" I asked, my voice still calm, almost attached. I wanted her to say it, to give voice to the guilt she tried so hard to hide. "The picture!" "The wedding picture. Where is it?" She was pacing now, her heels clicking nervously against the floor, the sound amplified in the sudden silence. I finally closed my book, a thick, heavy biography of Abraham Lincoln, and placed it on the coffee table. I took it down. She stopped pacing and turned to me, her eyes searching mine, a flicker of panic replacing the fear. "Why?" I leaned back in my chair, finally meeting her gaze. "Because, Sarah," I began, my voice still controlled, "a picture is supposed to capture a moment in time. A memory, right? A snapshot of a specific point in a relationship. And that picture, that wedding picture, it's a lie." She recoiled as if I'd slapped her. "What are you talking about?" Her voice was shaky now, the veneer of calm completely gone. "It's a picture of us on what was supposed to be the best day of our lives, a day that was supposed to be the beginning of a lifelong promise. And it doesn't represent who we are anymore, does it? It's just a picture, a reminder of something that no longer exists." I watched as she tried to piece it together, the confusion giving way to realization. Her eyes narrowed, and for a brief moment, I saw a flash of anger, quickly suppressed. "You know," it wasn't a question. It was a statement of fact, the full weight of my words finally sinking in. "Yes, Sarah, I know." I let the silence hang in the air, thick and heavy, the unspoken accusations filling the space between us. "How long?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Long enough." I didn't elaborate. I didn't tell her about the burner phone I found hidden beneath the lining of her purse, or the countless texts and late-night calls that painted a detailed picture of her double life. I didn't tell her how I had meticulously documented each piece of evidence, each little betrayal, a heartbreaking task that nearly broke me. Who is he?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Does it matter?" I replied, my tone flat. "His name won't change the fact that you betrayed me, Sarah. It won't erase the months of lies and deception." She dropped to the couch, her face buried in her hands. the lilies forgotten on the table. I don't know what to say, she sobbed, the perfect facade finally shattered. Don't, I said. Don't say anything. For once, just listen. I pulled a small, flat box from the side table. It wasn't a jewelry box like the ones I'd given her before. It was a thick cardboard box tied with a simple brown string. I placed it on the coffee table in front of her, watching as she slowly looked up. Her eyes, red and swollen, were full of questions, confusion, and a flicker of hope. I watched as she untied the string, her hands shaking. Inside, she found not jewels but stacks of carefully curated papers. There were bank statements, phone records, travel itineraries, and a few pictures printed on glossy paper that I'd secretly snapped. They weren't the loving kind. These pictures captured stolen moments, clandestine meetings, and hushed whispers between her and him. She didn't say a word as she sifted through the evidence. The truth laid bare before her. Her face paled even more as she realized the extent of my knowledge. The hope that had flickered in her eyes was extinguished, replaced by a look of pure, unadulterated fear. Everything, I said, my voice low but clear. Everything you did, every lie you told, every secret rendezvous, it's all there, Sarah. Documented. The weight of her betrayal finally crashed down on her, and the sob that escaped her was raw, gut-wrenching. She looked up at me, her eyes pleading, but there was no pity in mine, only a profound sense of weariness. I made a mistake, she whispered, her voice choked with tears. A mistake? I repeated, the words dripping with sarcasm. This wasn't a mistake, Sarah. This was a choice, a long, calculated, deliberate choice to break our vows, to destroy our marriage, to destroy me. She didn't say anything. She just sat there, defeated, the truth finally visible in her eyes. I'm leaving, I said. Standing up, I've already packed a bag. I filed for divorce. You'll be served within the week. And there's a lawyer's letter amongst those papers there, Sarah, explaining the details of the prenup we signed on that day. The day that photograph was taken. The day that you're no longer a part of. I walked to the door, not turning back, leaving her there, surrounded by the ruins of her deception and her lies. The clicks of her heels on the floor had once filled my heart with joy. Today, they sounded like the death knell of something that never truly was. As I stepped outside, I took a deep breath, and for the first time in months, the air felt clean, the weight finally lifted. The satisfaction wasn't in her pain. It was in my freedom. And the memory of her white face surrounded by those white lies was a revenge more satisfying than I could have ever imagined. I drove away, leaving her with the quiet hum of her own regrets and the silent whisper of a marriage that was never meant to be. And I knew, with a certainty that settled deep in my bones, that I was finally free.